Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I am just going to take a moment to share my screen. If you give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Actually, can you see my screen? Let me see if I can go back here. I'm assuming that we can see the screen. Okay, good. Perfect. So thank you again. Sorry about that technical delay. I am really excited to be here with you today and talk about the career transition component. So as you all, of course, know, the career, your career goals and your next steps in what you want to do is an important component of the MBA application process. And of course, the MBA is a huge commitment, not just because it requires you to spend a lot of time. So you're spending, let alone the time that you're applying, but also 2 years out of work, committing to studying for and preparing for a new career. But also it is a significant financial commitment to make in taking this next step. And of course, we know that no one sets out to earn an MBA only for a minor improvement in their job title or a small increase in their salary. Even those who plan to stay or return back to their former employer or the company are typically seeking for something more. They sometimes want to change departments, perhaps, and as a result require the training, the breadth of information an MBA program provides. And other times they want significant more responsibilities, even if they're remaining within the same department at their company. And significant responsibilities sometimes mean that they're making strategic decisions, and also sometimes that they are managing more people, typically not something that you see often in traditional 2-year MBA applicants. But the traditional applicant who is making a career transition, changing careers, is really the ones who do not plan to return back to their employer or sometimes even sector or industry, but look to change directions altogether. Here I'm talking about lawyers who want to be who wants to work in technology or become entrepreneurs. I'm talking about accountants who want to work in marketing. I'm talking about restaurant managers who want to be consultants. And these are all, dramatic shifts in careers. And there's obviously a spectrum of, different types of candidates that want to change some of the components of what they're doing. And an MBA is really that perfect next step, the perfect tool to get that breadth of information about the business, but that allows you also to take electives, to dive a little deeper into the career that you are the career change that you are looking to make. Now, what you have here on the screen is a GMAC survey that they have conducted in 2019. This is, mind you, this is pre-COVID, where they asked prospective applicants about their career goals. And the outcome of this survey showed that 27% of prospective applicants were looking to change industries, and 36% of them were looking to change functions post-MBA. This means 1 in 3 prospective applicants, were looking to make that transition. So you won't really be an anomaly in this process. Of course, these numbers are not reflective of post-COVID, where a lot of industries have been affected because of the pandemic, and they're looking to pivot from there. And this, again, is also a perfect next step for those individuals as well. So how does an ambitious applicant go about changing careers with an MBA? Now, perhaps you are a teacher looking to make more meaningful impact by transitioning to or being able to make more impact through education technology, so ed tech. Maybe you are a researcher or a chemical engineer looking to work in consulting, even if that is working in a field that is relevant or related to your current field. Perhaps you work for one of the big fours and cannot imagine your life as long as it's going to be that you are sitting and looking at spreadsheet after spreadsheet for the rest of your life. Whatever your career looks like today, the idea is that you want more. And the more is not just about a better salary, as you see on the screen. That only falls under the third most important thing that propels applicants to seek change in their career direction. But you want more meaningful career, more meaningful role where you're able to make an impact, so that you can obviously be able to lead in the companies that you are going to be a part of, whichever that company looks like. Now, obviously, the stakes are high. It's not just about your immediate post-MBA job. An MBA plays obviously a crucial role in helping you redirect that career path for you. And I'm sure we have here with us today finance and healthcare professionals, lawyers, and engineers who were told when they were in college that you have to follow the right, quote unquote, career, and that whatever that field is for them, that was the one that they were told they needed to follow. But after 3, 4, 5, 6 years, however many years you have been in the job market or in the job that you currently have, you do not really find a lot of pleasure in necessarily doing that job, and you're looking to find your path, what is right for you specifically. So the MBA, it's a logical next step. It really provides the tools that you need. Employers are going to be expecting a lot of individuals changing careers. So it's really about you putting together a plan to make that next step for you and really dive deeper into those elements. And we'll talk more about that. Now, I understand that changing careers can be anxiety-inducing. Sometimes all you know is that you don't like where you currently at today, and that you have no idea where to look for your career, for the next step. What does the new career look like? And I have gone through this process myself when I was transitioning from NYU in my undergraduate to my graduate school at Yale University. But I've also helped other applicants in that process, obviously make or navigate the career plans. From my perspective and from my work, it's obviously only for the MBA application process. But we do talk about what happens when they are in the program and how to think about that next step there. And 9 out of 10 applicants, 9 out of 10 of my clients are also transitioning careers. So we do spend a lot of time talking about the career transition in the process of completing an application itself, whether they're looking to change jobs or whether they are looking to change industries altogether. So my goal today is to lessen that anxiety in navigating the next steps in the process of changing your career. And that is really allowing you to understand what is required in an MBA program and beyond to help make that dream a reality. I have a proven curriculum where a segment of that work is to determine how an MBA and its community can help you navigate the career transition. Also, a part of that curriculum is helping you determine the right school that will support you and provide and nurture you to make sure that you are developing in the right way professionally to make that next step happen. The most important component, and I sometimes feel like I repeat this so often, is that you remember that an MBA, that if you are switching careers, the MBA will not help you make that career change. What will help you instead is the opportunity, what you make of the opportunities that are in the MBA program that you attend in helping you make that transition. So it's not just about getting admitted to Harvard, getting admitted to Stanford, getting admitted to Wharton, and insert any school that's your dream school. It's about choosing the right school that will support you on a professional level to develop the skills that you need to move your career in the direction you want it to go. And today I want to cover 4 elements that you need to keep in mind as you think about transitioning your career that will not only help with your applications, which obviously a part of this process is to convey to the admission committee what you are looking to do short and long term, but also while you are in the MBA, in the selection process, and the plan moving forward. So the first one on the list is using an ancient Greek aphorism: you must know thyself first. Knowing your measure is key to helping you make this transition. Of course, I'm not suggesting here that you wait until you know your inner self to make the transition. This is a lifelong endeavor, and it would be unrealistic of me to make that claim that you need to know the inner self. Rather, I'm suggesting that you know what you're good at, you know what your strengths are, that you know where you shine. What skills do you bring to the table in the MBA program, but also beyond that? The key to a successful transition is career transition is to be able to demonstrate and to identify transferable skills towards that career that you are seeking. Perhaps you are a strong negotiator, or perhaps you really like looking at different problems and have the ability to look at it from a macro perspective to provide strategic recommendations. Perhaps you are really strong at developing processes and implementing those processes to make sure that everyone in your team is most effective, or you yourself are most effective in the job that you're doing. Or perhaps you have built really strong customer service skills. Whatever those elements, whatever the skills that you bring to the table, the first component is to identify what those skills are and connect them to the future career. Now, when you go to an MBA program, I oftentimes see this where people think that they're just going to be, provided information. It's almost like downloading information into, their consciousness about how to conduct business. You are not going to be a blank slate. You're not going to be a tabula rasa there. And for the school to expect the school to completely reshape you. You need to bring in some of the skills to the table for them to be able to say, okay, these are the skills that you have. These are the skills that we can provide, and we'll be able to help you make this transition, help you make this next step. And that brings me to the second point. You also, part of knowing thyself is also knowing what you do not know. What are the skills that you need to develop? This means that you will need to do some industry research and also research in the job that you are targeting to identify what are the skills that the institution, that the company is looking for. I have worked with veterans who have had no prior business civilian exposure and have been able to transition into consulting. I have worked with chemical engineers with no client-facing experience who also been able to transition into MBBs. Now, I have worked with waiters who have, through several components of developing their professional background, are now working in a leadership position at a private equity company, and also consultants. You can really choose this path to go through the MBA and develop the skills that you need. Another one that I worked with is a marketer at a travel agency who has gone into and has transitioned into consumer goods. So these are very different fields, and they're able to make those connections and those transferable skills to be able to sell it first to the school to grant them admission, and then to the employer after they've built also some additional skills from the institution. And the way they've gotten there is just that. They have identified what those skills that they need to develop and worked really, really hard to make that a reality, to develop those skills and make the transition. Nothing replaces that. You will be offered all sorts of opportunities, sometimes more than you can handle, oftentimes more than you can handle. And it's really identifying, going with a plan, what you want to accomplish, what are the skills you want to develop, and focusing on those. And the next thing is related. So actually, after knowing yourself, you need to select the right program. The idea here is that you find a program who is going to support you in developing your personal brand. And that is an important component. I'm sure you have heard it mentioned elsewhere. Personal brand is a key phrase these days when it comes to developing your profile to market yourself for institutions, for organizations. Now, the schools need to have a strong career services team. Ideally, you also want to have mentors and coaches that are available to you to make sure that you're selecting the right electives, that you're selecting the right opportunities to be engaged in to develop these skills. The school that you're selecting also needs to be well entrenched in your desired industry, so they can help you learn the right industry language and vocabulary. They will need to be able to help you better understand the structure of the organization and the opportunities that are within that organization, and also provide you with the tools to develop the skills that that organization is looking for. So that when you go to those interviews, whether it's consulting or industry or anything else, you are well prepared for the employer to say yes to you. Now, as you transition careers, you also want an institution to allow you some flexibility. There have been people who have thought, because again, that idea of what's the right job post-MBA, they thought that consulting was the right job for them. And after doing an internship in the program at a consulting firm, they realized that that was not really a career that they're looking for. And you need to be able to still make that transition in your second year if that ends up being you. I tell this to my clients often. It's, you really don't know what you don't know. And I've heard this mentioned also by other admissions the representative at top 20 MBA programs that have said the same things. You don't know what you don't know. And you also want to have the opportunity to explore and know that whatever path you have chosen for yourself, it is the right path for you moving forward. Because again, you're not going to be expected to, continue earning MBA after MBA, because that would not be, it's very challenging to do that. And related to this, so related to selecting the right MBA program, is also selecting the school that will have the right experiential learning opportunities for you, specifically in your career plans. The idea is that you use the MBA experience to continue building your resume. And that means that the internships and the hands-on learning experiences that are prevalent at most top-ranked institutions, that they're available to you. And you are able to leverage those to build your resume. But beyond that, you also want to look at the community around you. What is around beyond the school? What is beyond the proverbial school's walls? If you are, for example, looking to go into finance but have very little experience in finance, two schools that you may want to consider are Columbia and NYU. Both of those schools are located at the finance capital, meaning New York City. And you are able to actually have internship during the school year, during the academic year, beyond the internships that are available in the summer, to allow you to build more experiences, so that when you go and compete with your peers who are also applying to finance jobs, you will have still more experiences than when you started the MBA program, to demonstrate to the employer that you are someone that they should consider for that job that you are applying to. And finally, the network. Network plays a critical role in career transitions. And you have to work really, really hard to build your network. I'm not talking here just building a superficial network. You need to make meaningful connections. It is really those meaningful connections that are going to help you find that job, help give you some tips, help take the time while they're preparing for interviews themselves to sit with you and help you prepare for your cases. This obviously means not just the peers who you will be who will wish you well and who are going to help you along the way, but are also, let's be frank, are also competing for those same exact jobs as you, but also the leveraging the alumni body at the institution to help you make that transition. You'll also want to be very, very engaged in the community. So the professional clubs that the schools have put together, if there's not one in your industry, which is highly unlikely, I would say, but let's just say it's not one, there's always an opportunity to work with the career management centers to establish one. You want to leverage those to build connections with second-year students, to build connections with professionals in the field, so that you, again, continue leveraging those resources to help you make that transition. I actually speak with my clients, my former clients now who are in the program. I always want to make sure that they're happy in the program that they've selected and that the plan is going as they had intended initially. And I had a conversation recently where a client was or is attending a top 3 program and top 3 MBA program, and thought that because of that he had to work, but not very hard to be able to get the MBB role he was seeking. Now, of course, he was very ambitious and still prepared and put in the time to prepare for those interviews, and got the interview. But he did mentioned that there are also individuals within this cohort, within his peers, who did not get that job that they were seeking. So it's not, again, to kind of reiterate here, it's not just getting to that MBA program, getting that top-ranked MBA program that will open all the doors that you want. That's typically not the case. That's not the reality in the MBA program, because you are there with all of your peers competing for very similar roles. You want to use the time to keep that plan in place and continue developing the network and the skills, and know that you have to work hard to make that transition happen. And it's okay, that's part of life, but it's having that mindset that it is required for you to be successful, especially if you're changing careers, because employers will be looking for past experiences, even if they are internships. If you want to have a deeper dive into your specific profile and discuss your career plans, your applications, your target schools, I want you to reach out. In the chat. There will be a link to my website for us to schedule a call. That should facilitate the process, as opposed to you jotting down an email address and a website. I will be also answering questions after this presentation in the chat. But ask that you spend some time crafting a clear question and provide any relevant background that I need to know to be able to answer the question for you. And we do have essentially a 1-hour session that is going to end on the hour mark. So please do spend some time crafting a very clear question, so we don't have to wait for responses afterwards. So this is a really exciting time. It really is important to pave the path towards your dream career, and it's the right way to do it by pursuing an MBA. All the work you have put in to build your career up to now, even if you're making the transition, but also the work that you will put in with an MBA application and a program, not just securing admission to those schools, to the dream school, but getting that great post MBA salary and building the professional brand, or building your personal brand, are going to continue developing over the years. And it's a really exciting time to be doing it now, when you are, 4 or 5 years into the job, than waiting longer. When you are 90 years old, you want to look back at yourself today and feel grateful that you took the steps to make the transition, to transition your career with the help of an MBA, whether that's from Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, or any other school that you dream of attending. If you are not happy with your job today, if you are not happy with your salary today, why wait longer to make the right moves to get to the career that you want, where you can feel valued, where you can have a meaningful impact? Now is always the best time to get that ball rolling. And a way, as I mentioned, to change careers is to make sure that you go in with a plan. And you spend the time to determine what are your transferable skills that you have built up till now. What are the skills that you need to make that successful transition that an MBA program is going to offer you? You need to then build not only the core breadth of the business exposures that a lot of the MBA programs are going to offer you, but also the electives and the experiential learning opportunities that are going to help you customize your resume for the career that you want. And beyond that, obviously, continue building a network that's going to support you into the career transition. Always feel very confident telling people what you want, because people are more likely to help you if they know what you want, as opposed to trying to guess what you want. And go through this process in a professional and obviously structured way is going to help you move to that next step, increase your salary, and get to that career and the goal and the dream that you have probably known for a long time that you wanted to pursue. So I'm going to ask that you answer that you write your questions in the chat if you want to have a conversation, and if we end up having the session short and I don't get to answer your question, please reach out. I am looking forward to talking to you and getting to know your story and see perhaps I can help you in this process. But if not, it is a complimentary consultation that there is no other than the time, there is no commitment required. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, drink some water, and then I will answer some of your questions. All right, do we have any questions? So I'm going to go in the chat. Thank you, Jeffrey. I don't know exactly what I said, but thank you for saying that. At the moment when you messaged, of course. In your 30s. So is being in your 30s a big hurdle in doing an MBA and expecting a career switch? Oops. I lost the comment. Okay, so this is Angad. 30s, it really depends on what career you are looking to, where you're looking to go, what are you looking to do. If you are 30 right now, and if you're applying this application cycle, you'll be 31 by the time you will start the program, and you're looking to work in consulting, for example, that becomes a challenge. You're still there's a possibility, but it becomes more challenging as the years go, as the years progress, and schools typically look, we'll start thinking, do you want to look at other programs? So like a one-year MBA, which obviously is not ideal if you're looking to transition or change careers. So I would say try to do it earlier rather than later. And I would encourage you to reach out and let's talk a little bit about what that career transition looks like for you, where you're looking to go, so that we can perhaps build a plan on how to present that to the admission committee in a way that is going to convince them that you will be successful in that transition. Hopefully that answers the question. So yeah, I see you have another post after that. You said you had legal background. That is absolutely okay. Again, it depends on where you want to go with that. And with a legal background, you can be very valuable to a lot of different organizations. So perfect. So Samarth asked the question, is it a drawback if you're not clear which field you want to go into after MBA and you're planning an MBA to figure out the process? This is a question I get asked all the time. And schools anticipate that you are going to use that 2 years to determine what you're trying to do. However, in your application, you still want to demonstrate that you have thought about it and that you want to have at least a direction, even if it's macro level, of which way you want to go. Typically, especially if you're targeting top-ranked institutions, if they can pick from the best of the best, you have someone who knows where they want to go and it's clear to them, they'll be able to help them. But someone who says, I want to figure it out, which from their perspective is sometimes code for, I kind of want to have fun. I don't know. You really, they will most likely pick the one who has a clear idea of where they want to go. So I would encourage you to spend some time thinking about a plan that is connected to, or where you can identify transferable skills from your professional experiences to date, and develop a plan. And then when you're in the program, you can obviously explore and make sure you select programs and schools that have that option and that allow you the flexibility to explore different avenues. Hopefully that helps. Anand, I am 32 and from maritime engineering background, having 9 years of experience. I'm seeking to switch careers to finance. I am quite clear about future goals, program I want to attend. How feasible is it? So are we talking about investment banking? Are we talking, what do you mean by finance industry? What does that look like specifically for you? 9 years of experience, it can be feasible, but we would need to have a deeper conversation to talk about what that looks like for you. If you say, finance industry and private equity and venture capital, I would say that's probably not feasible. But if you want to do banking or something else within finance, there could be possibilities. But with 9 years of experience, it also becomes a hurdle, because you are kind of on the cusp of, should you be looking at, an executive or a 1-year MBA program. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you really want to make clear that a 2-year MBA is required for you to make that transition. Perfect. I hope I didn't skip people. Okay. Sorry, the chat keeps moving, so I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss questions. Okay. So Rajesh asked if he can apply for Cornell Tech MBA if he does not have a technology background. You can apply without a tech background. However, you do need to demonstrate some sort of skills that you bring to the table. So you would need to spend a little bit of time articulating what that looks like. What are some of the transferable skills? What do you want to do? Why do you need a tech MBA? If you are transitioning, the other question I would ask is, do you want a tech MBA? You can get a traditional 2-year MBA and still transition into technology in the tech sector without sort of being so focused on the tech MBA. If you are applying to a tech MBA, typically does not allow you to make the switch. So if you're applying to a specific MBA that is specific concentration, so like Wharton's healthcare MBA, you are applying to that one specifically, and you cannot move from one to another. So just make sure you want to do that, especially for those especially if you are making a career transition. How sure you are that you want to do this, right? Have you had any experiences that demonstrate that make you sure that this is the right career for you? So I would spend definitely some time thinking about that component, because with a traditional MBA without sort of a focused career, or without the ones that require separate applications, there's a flexibility to pivot if you don't like it. And typically with those that are specific that you're applying to as a separate program, there's not much flexibility within that. So spend some time considering that as well. So Aravinci says that he is in his mid-30s, an engineer with 13 years of experience. in hydrocarbon project management. I'm a project manager now. I was thinking that consulting would still make sense. With 13 years of experience, traditional consulting, it becomes very, very challenging, and it's going to be very difficult for you to make that transition into consulting at this point. Maybe you want to have a conversation and let's talk about your background a little bit further. There's also some programs that you may want to consider over others. A lot of the schools, I know when you look at class profiles, you see the sort of the outliers, right? So the 0 to 14 years of work experience as people that have been accepted into the programs, into the traditional 2-year MBA programs. And that's so that's evidence, right, that it is possible to go in with 13 years of work experience into a traditional 2-year MBA program. However, the goals need to be very attainable if the school is going to sort of help you make a transition in your career. Outside of that, you may also want to look at other types of programs like MIT Sloan's MBA Fellows. I know that there are people in there that have made career transitions from there that you may want to consider and have conversations with the admissions team. Perfect. So I am 20 years old and will be graduating next year with an engineering degree. I want to pursue an MBA. Is it a good choice to do right after graduation? Unless you are applying to the deferred program, which means that you secure a seat at the table and work for between 2 and 4 years of work experience between graduation date and until you enter the MBA program. Unless you do that, I would probably recommend that you wait a little bit longer, or do an MIM if you still need more experience to gain business background. Probably an MBA, if you do it immediately post undergraduate, you're not going to get the most out of it because you don't have a lot of experience, or typically, I can't speak for you, but for your case specifically, but typically you don't have a lot of work experience. So an MIM can be a good program, unless you are focused on a specific geographic region that you don't want to go elsewhere, and there are limitations as to what kind of programs that are available to you. But I would say you want to gain some more work experience before applying to an MBA program. The deferred program is very, very competitive. So that's another hurdle that you would have to overcome to be able to secure a seat at one of those schools. Perfect. All right, I lost it again. Sorry. Okay, I think I located where I was. I have Siddhant asking, I'm 28-year-old lawyer and with corporate experience. I would like to make a switch to either managerial position in a company working in the renewable energy sector or to marketing. Will an MBA help? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a great way to make that career transition. You want to identify what experiences you bring. Obviously, as I mentioned in the presentation, identify those transferable skills. In general management, it is obviously a little bit more open, but marketing is also a possibility. There are some great MBA programs that have really strong are really strong in that space with as far as it relates to employers and helping students make the transition. So that's absolutely possible. you of course want to bring in some experiences that you can share with the school and tell and demonstrate that you're not a tabula rasa, right? You're not going to be a blank slate, and it can help for sure. Yeah, so you made another post immediately after that saying you have 6 years of work experience. So yeah, it's absolutely possible to make that transition. So by all means, go through this process. Select the schools, identify your skills, select the schools, obviously have conversations with them, and prepare your applications. I would probably, if you know that you want to make you want to transition into a more business role, decision-making role, then I would probably want to do this sooner rather than later, because the more time passes, the much more challenging it becomes. And if you haven't taken the GMAT, you'll have to obviously do all the preparatory work. A lot of lawyers here. That's awesome. So there's a lot of sort of broken questions. So it's hard for me to piece them all together. So I would ask if you can just actually type the whole thing in one post so I can try and answer it. So I have a question here from Mahesh Mohan, who asks, can a GPA score of 2-ish be offset by a 700 level GMAT score? It really depends on which school you're applying. If you're applying to a top ranked program, the answer is no. If you're applying to a third tier MBA program, then maybe. Depends also which geographic region you're applying to. A 700 score, GMAT score, is good, but it really needs to be well above the class profile to help mitigate, to help offset the 2-ish GPA. And I would just say, I mean, I don't know where you graduated, but if you graduated outside of the United States, I would say don't convert your GPA score. Rather look at your class rank. And that is a better indicator than a strict conversion that you can find on online tools, because it is very much school dependent, geographic region dependent. So it's not a real reflection of what your GPA is. The only way that you can do a better evaluation of the conversion would be if you have your transcript sort of converted by WES, and they can tell you exactly what is that equivalent to in US grading system. Perfect. So Sarmista is asking, is MBA, Master's in Marketing or MBA Marketing better? Which is better, rather? It really depends on what role you want to have. Master's in Marketing is going to be much more marketing centric, whereas an MBA with a marketing focus is going to be a general management degree with a breadth of exposures to a variety of different departments or components of a business, and will have a marketing sort of directionality where will help you develop the skills you will need to be as a marketing leader. So both are good. It just depends on what you want to do, and then you would choose the type of degree that you want to pursue. Okay. AJ, you asked the question of what should I expect after MBA from top colleges in Europe. I'm not quite sure I can answer that question because I don't have enough information. What do you mean? What should you expect as far as careers are concerned, as far as salary is concerned, as far as where you can be placed, what types of roles? There's all sorts of questions or all sorts of direction that question can go. So I would need a little bit more information to be able to answer it. So another question is, which schools would be better fit for a person with 2.5 to 3 years of experience looking for strategy, product management, international business as a focus? Typically, strategy is a very common career, post MBA career in typical MBA programs. 3 years of experience at matriculation, so when you start the program, or do you currently have 2.5, 3 years of experience before even applying? 2.5, 3 years of experience can be low. You will need to demonstrate to the school that you are ready for an MBA at this point in your career. And if you are looking to, maybe this is a transition, I'm not quite sure. You're going to need to tell them that in that 2.5 years, 3 years of work experience that you had, you know exactly where you're going from here. There's a lot of programs, product management and international business. I'm thinking Yale SOM, especially for the international component. That is a great school, and has really, really great international opportunities that it offers. So that could be something that you think about, but obviously there's a lot of factors that come into play in the school selection decision. Sandeep has 17 years of experience, 10 plus in brand marketing, and wants to switch careers to consultancy, planning a 1-year MBA. So 17 years of experience is obviously a lot and great. Consulting, with that many years of experience, it becomes a little bit challenging, to be very transparent with you, especially if you're looking at the likes of MBBs, like top tier 1 consulting firms. It becomes really, really challenging. 1-year MBAs, it really depends on which ones you're looking at as well, that you should take into account. I know that there are some people who complete a 1-year MBA and are able to make transitions into different careers, but they have to be really purposeful in that 1 year, because it offers very little opportunities to have internships and have experiential learning opportunities that are significant to be able to make that transition. But I would definitely have a conversation with you. I would like to see your resume, and let's see what we can plan from there. Perfect. All right. I see a lot of the same names, so I'm going to skip through some of them just to get to answer a few other people. So I have Bikramjeet. I have completed my BTech in Chemical Engineering 2016, worked for 3 years in an MNC in India in operations and process management, left job in 2019 to prepare for CAT. Now is GMAT an option for the switch? I'm not sure I quite understand the question. If you're looking to change careers, that's totally possible to do it. I'm not, to be very blunt, it becomes more challenging if you haven't been employed for some time to gain admission. The question is going to be, what have you been doing? And studying for an exam is typically not something that the admission committee looks greatly upon, just because everyone in the MBA cohort is applying and studying for an exam, including the GMAT, and have to manage it, right, while working. So that would be probably a hurdle that I foresee, but I would need to see a little bit more and maybe understand the question a little better. So one quick last question. We have 3 minutes. So I'm 23 years old and I have 2 years of experience in IT audit, but I'm looking to transfer into finance, investment, corporate finance. Would an MBA be worth it? Absolutely, an MBA is worth it and will help you make that transition. My only concern would be you're below the class average as far as work experience is concerned. However, you may have had a lot of experiences in that 2 years that can demonstrate that you're ready for an MBA at this point. So I would probably recommend that you have a conversation either with me or reach out to some schools and talk about your background and what they recommend. And I would take their word at face value especially if they tell you, if schools tell you you need a little bit more work experience. Typically, they're doing you a favor if they're telling you that, so you shouldn't necessarily apply. But if they are positive and they're encouraging you, then you should absolutely, but make the case as to, again, even if they tell you that, you still have to submit the strong application. All they're telling you with that would be, you will be admitted, you have the right, you have you are competitive, but they're not giving you an admission. So you still have to put together a really strong application demonstrating that you are ready for an MBA at this point in your career. They never know who is in the pool of candidates that you are competing against, and all the other components that make up the holistic review of the MBA application process. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you if you want to reach out. I think this is the last question that we have time for. I don't want to be cut off in the middle of a response. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the wonderful, wonderful questions that you've asked. There's a link on the screen right now. If you want to have a conversation and talk about your profile specifically, perhaps you feel comfortable sharing your resume, we can discuss your career, whether that's a transition or whatever it looks like. I'll be really happy to have a conversation about this next step and a very exciting step in your career. Thank you again for being here today, and I look forward to connecting with you, hopefully virtually, one-on-one. All right.